Singapore Academy of Law launched its Legal Leadership Playbook to address urgent talent gaps as legal leadership demands grow more complex. Yong Zikin of Singapore Academy of Law joins us to unpack how the legal sector is addressing talent challenges. So, Zikin, the Legal Leadership Playbook is being positioned as a living document for a modernizing legal sector. What specific leadership gaps in Singapore's legal industry made this kind of playbook necessary now?
Well, I think the landscape for law, right, has developed over the last few years, and Singapore lawyers find themselves in many different places where they practice. Different private sector firms, in-house legal departments. As legal practice matures, I think the ability of lawyers to lead teams, lead departments, and even entire organizations need to be upgraded. And that's one of the reasons why we decided to go down this path. We have also heard from the ground that one of the concerns of young lawyers is the expectations of closer leadership, more personal leadership, right? And the qualities that they look for in leaders. And this is also done to address some of these desires so that we are able to bring the legal sector in Singapore up to the next level as we continue to grow.
You mentioned a couple of sectors earlier, in-house, private, or public sector. Is this talent gap more evident in certain areas of the legal profession like that?
I would say it's not so much a problem specific to sectors, but probably one where legal departments or in smaller companies, as the company grows, need to be able to lead the departments more effectively. Law firms, as they grow into regional practices, they need to lead young lawyers into the region and deal with regional clients. So as departments and as law firms grow, it is natural that managing partners, head of legal departments, they need to up their game for ability to lead and manage their team so that they are able to more effectively deliver legal services. So I think it's a question of keeping up with the growth that's happening as expectations rise, and also as to be much more effective providers of legal services.
Are lawyers today even being asked to lead in ways that go beyond technical legal expertise?
When you compare with the past, right, where the economy isn't as mature as today, the focus is on smaller teams, perhaps, right, delivery of legal services. But legal deals are much more complex. They have to manage both internal teams and external teams, different types of expertise, experts from consultancy firms, and you have much more complex schedules and deadlines. The ability to manage resources, harness the people to be able to deliver, that starts from even very young team leaders. And of course, as law departments and as law firms grow, these challenges multiply. For a lawyer to be successful, he actually needs 3 dimensions. He needs a good legal domain knowledge and legal technical skills that traditionally has been associated with lawyers. But today, more so than ever, the ability to manage resources, lead teams, to be able to deliver on those legal services, that has become equally important.
Now, looking at it from the client side this time, are they now explicitly choosing firms based on how they are led and not just how they litigate?
I would say that recent surveys and feedback from young lawyers will say that this is true. The options available to young lawyers these days are much more than ever before. They can choose to work in law firms of different sizes, domestic or international, ditto law departments of different companies, multinational or regional or even local. So the options are there. So they have the ability to identify the teams that they want to be part of, that they will be able to grow themselves as lawyers, and hopefully also help them achieve their own aspiration to be good leaders in the legal sector. So I think that it is beholden on the present leadership of the legal sector, right? Those of us who have to manage teams, departments, or even organizations to step up, right, and be more conscious about the kind of leadership and management skills we need to be more effective leaders and employers.
Actually, another thing that comes to mind when it comes to expectations like this is AI. Would you say that AI and or legal tech sort of reshaped expectations around leadership and capabilities?
I would say yes, right? It's reshaped expectations in a couple of ways. First, the management reaction to AI and the adoption of AI is an important signal to young lawyers because it's a signal of how progressive and how embracing you are of advancements. Law firms who are more willing to embrace the technology and more willing to experiment and support experimentation be seen as attractive places for young lawyers to work in. The other thing is also comes out from conversations I've had with some managing partners, the way the leaders of law firms and law departments are looking at how they should relook team structures, how they should relook and review the training of young lawyers in view of AI much more pervasively to the way they do their work. Now, those also indicate a very much more progressive approach to leadership and management, and that makes these organizations much more attractive as employers to young lawyers. So I think it's very important for us to bear these things in mind as we grapple, right, with the impact of AI on legal practice.
So if we were to compare the then versus now, Zikin, where do you see the strongest tension between traditional law firm culture and the leadership style now required?
I would say that traditional law firm culture worked very well for that period of time, right? And for the expectation of lawyers during that period of time. Today, it's almost like saying that you learned law 20 years ago and then you didn't keep it updated. It doesn't work, right? Law progresses. As lawyers, we keep our knives sharp. We make sure that we are updated in legal developments. We keep our legal technical skills honed and sharpened and practiced, right? So equally, with the ability to manage and lead legal teams, that is something that we need to bring on board as well. We need to pick up, right, some of these good practices that have done well in other sectors, bring it into the legal sector, and so that we are able to be good employers and be good leaders.
Now, how about on effectiveness? How will you know whether this remains a practical guide rather than just another leadership document?
So that's the challenge. I don't really have a definite answer for now, but we do have an idea of how we want to grow this. Leadership principles and leadership techniques are not particularly new, right? These things have been around, they work well for different sectors and different organizations. That's why we partnered with the Human Capital Leadership Institute, right? Is to see how we can take these principles and plant them within the legal sector and grow them within the legal sector through examples. That's why we refer to this as a living document. We didn't start from scratch. SAL has been running a leadership executive program with INSEAD for 10 years. Now we are taking some of these things, working together with the Human Capital Leadership Institute, right? And we are trying to make it much more easily accessible to as many leaders as possible within the legal profession. What we are hoping to do is to add to it with case studies, with illustrations, new ones as we engage with more who have read the documents, as we get new ideas, so that the final product, right, will be much more contextualized to what lawyers will see in the offices, and also deal more specifically with some of those challenges that are more prominent when leading a team of professionals and when you interact constantly with different experts and different clients from different sectors.
Actually, speaking of case studies, are there already measurable benchmarks or industry-wide indicators that can be used to assess whether the playbook is really effective?
Well, I would say that we do see some benchmarks, surveys, some kind of awards, right? But I think that that's one of those areas that we hope to be able to develop eventually. The first thing we want to start with is the leadership playbook. We have also introduced sustainability principles as well that helps to deal with some of the issues there, workplace culture. And we hope that as our colleagues in the industry comes along and as we get better at this, benchmarks can be established, standards can be promoted, and then we will be able then to have a better way to measure adoption and adherence to these benchmarks.
And yeah, this actually sounds helpful. But before we close the discussion, Ziken, for you, what would success look like for the legal leadership playbook, let's say in the next 3 to 5 years?
I would like to be able to see, right, the same level of discussion, publications, writing discussions, right, that we have in other domains of legal knowledge and technical skills, also in this third area.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Ziken. Hope you can join us again soon.
Well, thanks for having me, and I hope that this has been helpful.
Once again, that was Yong Ziken, Chief Executive of the Singapore Academy of Law. For more news, visit sbr.com.sg.